Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my first impressions look on the New Balance Kawhi 3. So this is of course Kawhi Leonard's third signature shoe with New Balance, and it retails for $160, which is pretty insane, but it is the same exact price as the regular Kawhi 2. So they didn't increase the price, but $160 is pretty damn expensive, especially for kind of like the quality of the shoe, which we'll get into. But this colorway is still available on newbalance.com if you guys do want to cop. I'll try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. But let's get it started off with the Tracciones. And in this colorway, we have a fully translucent outsole. Right? It's pretty much the entire outsole that's translucent, and we have like little triangles, right? So we got 3 triangles here in the forefoot, and then we got 1 in the heel, which is pretty interesting. And we have a wavy herringbone like traction pattern throughout the rest of the outsole, and the traction is seeming not so good, honestly. You know, it has an okay stop so far, nothing amazing, and also has absolutely zero squeak, which of course that has nothing to do with performance, but I like to have a nice squeaky traction. And the only kind of like squeaky traction from Kawhi's signature shoe line was kind of like the Kawhi 1, but the Kawhi 1 also wasn't like that squeaky if I remember correctly. The Kawhi 2, once you broke it in, started to squeak just a tiny bit, but not a lot. And then the Kawhi 3 right now doesn't squeak that much either. So the traction is worrying me a little bit, but I guess the good thing is that it seems very durable. Like the rubber is very hard, and I guess the grooves are deep, and the grooves are also super duper thick. And then here in the forefoot we have the New Balance logo. So we'll have to see on the traction. I feel like, you know, it'll be one of those silent traction patterns with a pretty good bite, and then once you break it in, maybe it'll squeak just a tiny bit, but I don't think it'll squeak that much. So there is the traction there. And then as you guys can see on the bottom of the outsole, we have the energy arc, right? So this is carbon fiber and it's pretty much full length. It doesn't go all the way here into the forefoot. It kind of stops halfway into the forefoot, and then it goes all the way here into the heel, but it's supposed to, you know, give you that spring-like effect, right? So as far as the heel to toe transition goes so far, it feels very smooth. So here in the heel we have kind of like an edge shape. It's not super rounded, but we have a fully exposed fuel cell, right? And the midsole is very soft. There's a lot of compression, so it doesn't feel clunky at all. It feels very smooth actually in the heel. And then in the forefoot we have a nice curved shape and a good amount of forefoot flex, and it doesn't like rebound back that much right here in the forefoot, because this is where it kind of stops. You know what I mean? I wish they would have maybe extended it a little bit more, but of course with this carbon fiber midfoot shank plate we have very good torsional support. It does not bend at all here in the midfoot. So overall heel to toe transition feels pretty smooth so far, but it doesn't feel super springy like the Wild 10s do, you know? Alright, moving on to the cushioning setup. So the cushioning setup is one of my favorite parts about the shoe so far, right? So we have a full length dual density fuel cell midsole, and like I said, here in the heel we have actually a good amount of compression. It feels pretty damn soft, and like I said, it's fully exposed, right? It's not really caged at all like the Kawhi 2 was. Look at the Kawhi 2. Look at this external heel calendar. Look how much exposed foam there is here in the back of the heel, right? So there was very little compression, but I guess if you feel it, the fuel cell feels a little bit softer than the Kawhi 3 maybe. Yeah, just a tiny bit. But still, this is fully exposed, and it allows for more compression in the heel, so that feels better. As far as the core feel goes, it feels pretty nice so far. Nothing amazing like the Hardens, but it still feels pretty low to the ground. As far as the insole goes, the insole is alright. You know, it's just a regular kind of like Ortholite insole. It feels like nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy. And then underneath that, we have a pretty stiff strobel board. And I feel like companies need to get with the times maybe, you know, because like Nike even did it, you know. Of course they have Zoom strobel, and also in the Zoom Freak 4 in the heel they have like a really big cutout for the foam, so that your foot's right on top of the foam and not on top of like a stiff strobel board, right? And also of course, as we all know, like in the Wild 10s or like leaning shoes or Way of Weight shoes, they have the soft strobel board. And also Adidas, you know, with the Hardens and the BYW Select, they have like a nice little cutout in the heel for the boost, and then like the actual strobel board is on the softer side of things, you know. So I feel like New Balance needs to step it up a little bit, because the step-in comfort isn't that good. It's just like pretty stiff. The only good thing I guess is the the heel compression, which I guess is pretty nice, but you know, I feel like it's just gonna be like a responsive cushioning setup with nice compression in the heel and adequate impact protection. So nothing amazing, but it'll probably be a cushioning setup, you know, that I like overall, right? All right, moving on to the material. So like I mentioned before, this is a $160 shoe, right? So pretty damn expensive, and the material quality is just not it, right? So I guess we have like textile panels, as you guys can see here in the midfoot. Here in the forefoot, we have like a textile panel, and then we have like synthetic material overlays, right? And this part feels super cheap, right? It just feels like a synthetic kind of like felt type of material, and it doesn't feel good, you know, as far as the quality goes. On foot, however, it feels pretty nice, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely thicker than the Kawhi 2, right? The Kawhi 2 was super thin with this fit weave. The Kawhi 1, however, was just, this was a stiff ass material, you know what I mean? So I definitely like how they moved away from the Kawhi 1s, but the Kawhi 3, it feels a little bit thicker, but it still like conforms to your foot somewhat well. And it's still comfortable because it's not like super stiff. It doesn't feel cumbersome or anything like that. So I'm not mad at the material on foot, but for 160 bucks, I feel like they could have given us better quality materials, right? And then we have another like overlay, right, of like a circle pattern on the synthetic material. And then one thing I do like about the upper though is the tongue. The tongue has actually a lot of padding, and it feels very cozy on top of your foot. So that feels great. And also it's a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then here in the ankle area, however, there's very like there's actually like no padding, which is insane. You know what I mean? And I do feel it's not heel slippage, but it doesn't feel locked down. Like my heel doesn't feel super locked down into the shoe, which I guess we'll get into, which is weird because there is a cupping shape here in the heel, like a cup shape, but I feel like maybe they should have added just a tiny bit more padding, right? I feel like that would have helped a lot, but either way, it feels pretty nice on foot, and I do like the padding here in the tongue, like I said, but the quality is just not good, you know what I mean? So there's the material there. All right, moving on to the fit, I went true to size and fits very similarly, or pretty much the exact same as the Kawhi 2. So it's a very snug fit. My toes go very close to the edge of the shoe. It's a pretty snug fit here in the toe box, and it's a pretty narrow fit, like a really narrow fit actually. I can feel my pinky toe being squeezed a little bit here. So overall, I do like it. I feel like it's a little narrow for me right now, but I'll probably get used to it like I usually do. So yeah, overall fit for me, because I do like a very snug fit. It fits me very well. So if you like a snug fit, going true to size, you should be fine. If you want a roomier fit or you have like a wide foot, probably go up half a size, right? All right, moving on to the support and lockdown. I feel like it'll be pretty good. You know, Kawhis have been very supportive. Here in the Kawhi 1, this was a very supportive shoe. The Kawhi 2 was still supportive, obviously not as much because the material, this fit weave, light material is like a little bit less supportive, but the Kawhi 3 feels a little bit more supportive, especially with the added synthetic panels. So yeah, here in the forefoot, the midsole comes up to act as a sidewall a little bit, I guess, right? And also, like I said, we had these kind of like panels, which do overall help the support of the forefoot right here. And then here in the heel, we have an internal TPU heel counter, it feels like. So lateral containment feels like it's going to be good. And also for lateral stability, we have a little bit of an outrigger going on, right? The outsole protrudes out a little bit here in the forefoot, so it does feel like it's going to be laterally stable too. So support and lockdown feels like it's going to be good, but like I said, my heel doesn't feel all the way locked down, which kind of sucks. You know, I feel like they definitely should have added maybe like Achilles pillows at least, or more padding, you know? All right, moving on to the weight of the shoe. It feels actually quite light. No. I mean, the upper feels super light, but I feel like the rubber is pretty damn like thick, you know what I mean? So I'm guessing maybe like 11-12 ounces, still on the lighter side of things. Yeah, 11.89 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 11.75 ounces. So the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces, so that's definitely lighter than average. The Kawhi 2 is probably going to be around the same. 11.39, a little bit lighter. And then the Kawhi 1 is going to be like 14, I think. Yeah, 14.74 ounces. So I do like how they, you know, they lightened up the shoe a little bit because the Kawhi 1 was very heavy. But yeah, I mean, the Kawhi 3 is feeling pretty good on foot so far. I like how the material feels on foot. The cushion feels nice. It's just the traction I'm not liking so far. And also the heel containment, you know. So those are the only two things I don't like so far, but everything else feels pretty good. And now moving on to the aesthetics. I don't know. I feel like I like the Kawhi 2 the best, definitely. The Kawhi 2, especially the money colorway. The Kawhi 1's probably my least favorite. And then the Kawhi 3 is probably my second favorite, right? The design, I don't know, it just seems like kind of cheap to me. You know, the overall design and the overall materials kind of looks like it doesn't look like a $160 shoe. It looks like a budget shoe, you know what I mean? So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, the Kawhi 3, not feeling too good so far. Like I said, the traction is worrying me a lot. But I do, of course, have to play in it and break it in. And once I do break it in, hopefully the traction gets really good, but I do have my doubts on that. So anyways, that about concludes my first impressions look on the New Balance Kawhi 3. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave an affiliate link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.